Right then, welcome to Lad Chat Podcast. Today it's just myself and Christopher, James and Ratty. They're off, sunning themselves, and Ratty is AWOL.
Where is James?
James, he's gone to West Wales.
Has he?
He's gone to West Wales, so have a lovely time, James. Right then, and we've got a special guest today, none other than Cardiff City legend, Andy Campbell.
Hiya Andy, thanks for coming on.
So, Andy, first of all, again, thanks very much for coming on. So what are you up to now, Andy?
Currently, I'm retired from football, what we know. Retired from football about 5 years ago, and I'm currently a primary school teacher. I teach in primary school in the local area, Middlesbrough. I've been in teaching about 5 years now, and absolutely love it. It's such a different lifestyle, but I'd say the holidays are amazing. It's so rewarding teaching kids and giving something back, because, you know what I mean, I've been very lucky in my life to be a professional footballer for as many years as I was, and it's so nice to now to help someone else get better at something that they enjoy doing.
Yeah, and you're teaching kids football. No one really better than an ex-pro.
Yeah, well, the parents really enjoy that. I think that, you know what I mean, the parents obviously have a similar age to myself, so obviously they enjoy that I teach their children PE, you know what I mean, and especially football, and I can pass on my knowledge and experience and help them get to the next level when they go to secondary school, and hopefully that can just improve them and make them better people and give them a better knowledge in sport, really.
Well, we'll try and do this chronologically, but I'm going to warn you, this might go absolutely everywhere, Andy, because I think we got about 30 odd questions.
I think we still got messages coming in.
Yeah, we probably still got messages coming in, so we'll try our best to everyone to try and address them. So Andy, from the beginning, how did you get into football then? How did your journey begin?
Well, I played football like all my life as a kid, and I joined a team called Martin Juniors. And me and my brother joined them. He's a little bit older than me, but I joined there, played there all my life from probably 7 years old up till 14, and luckily enough got scouted by a man called Ron Bourne and Keith Noble at Middlesbrough, two legends of fellas who brought in some absolute world beaters and world class footballers into Middlesbrough Football Club, and signed YTS at 16 when I left school, and it all took off from there really. Played for my hometown club. At 16 years old, made my debut in the Premier League at 16.
Wow.
Under Brian Robson, which was...
What, was that your full debut at 16 years old?
Yeah, I was in my first year at YTS, and I came on a sub at 16, and a week later at Anfield against Liverpool.
Wow.
Ian Rush's last game it was as well at Anfield, and it was just a surreal day for myself. You know what I mean? To go on the pitch and to meet some of the players I did that day was amazing, and Neil Ruddock marked me that day and made my life hell really.
I can imagine.
71 minutes I played that game, and he was an absolute nightmare. He followed me everywhere. He kicked me, pinched me, punched me, did everything to me to make sure I had a miserable game, and then bought me a pint after, which I wasn't allowed to drink because I was only 16. But no, he shook my hand and said that to keep going, and that I had so much potential, and it was amazing to speak to him about football, and I'll always take that with me, and followed on, carried on playing for Middlesbrough for the next 2 or 3 seasons. Went on loan to Sheffield United with Steve Bruce, to Bolton Wanderers with Sam Allardyce, and then Brian Robson got sacked. 2000, 2001. Steve McLaren came in. We didn't see eye to eye, and I just thought that I needed to go past his new and go and sign for another football club. And luckily enough for me, Lenny Lawrence, who I knew from my days at Middlesbrough, came in and offered me a loan spell, which I was pleased to take, and it all took off from there, and signed within the month, and knew then that, you know what I mean, I knew then that I was in something special, and loved my time at City. Obviously things didn't finish the way I wanted. Dave Jones came in, and same thing really when Steve McLaren came in, that me and Dave didn't see eye to eye, and then I left, and I went up to Scotland for a year and a half to go and sign for Dunfermline, which I enjoyed in the Premier League. Played against Celtic and Rangers, played in a Scottish Cup final.
Oh wow!
Which was my last game there, which we did lose, but you know we weren't really expected to beat Celtic on the day.
Yeah.
Dropped down the leagues. I came back to Middlesbrough for the first time in my life since leaving in about 9-10 years. Signed for Halifax Town in League Two. Loved my time there. Picked up a couple of serious injuries, which I battled my way back, and then picked up another one, which finished me unfortunately professionally, and then went into semi-professional football, and then decided that my body was in that much of a state that I needed to probably look at something else, and then went into teaching, went into university, did my qualifications, and got myself 2 degrees, and
Oh,
and
wow.
I've looked back really and loved it. And you know, it's such a different lifestyle. But you know, in a nutshell, that's my life stuff up to now.
So Andy, you're not the typical footballer then, going on to.
At 16, I probably was. Stereotypically, didn't do my GCSEs at school, so I had to go back and do them later on.
Yeah.
So you know, what I mean, I've got my qualifications now, but you know, what I mean, I know players are times the same with a similar brush of being thick.
Yeah.
But now I probably got more common. I'd probably say common sense has got me through life than my brain. So hopefully, I think stereotypically I've come out the other end.
So Andy, what was it like signing your first contract then? Because that's kind of like, you know, I know so many people who have almost made it, and you know, when they get to about 18 or 17, 18, they're kind of dropped, and then that's the end of their footballing journey.
Oh, it was quite surreal really that I was home one day. I just turned 17, it was 17th birthday, so I was at home celebrating with my family, and Brian Robson rung my mum and dad at home and offered me a professional contract, and that's obviously how Man United do things with Alex Ferguson at Man United. Brian Robson's followed that on, and it was such an amazing thing. The next day we went into the club with my mum and dad, and I'd signed my first professional contract for 2 years, and that was it. And you know, what I mean, I signed another contract halfway through that contract, and on better terms and things, and longer for longer years. But it was such an unbelievable time, and to have Brian Robson bringing your parents up at home, and for one, you think it's a wind up. You can't believe it because you sign a professional contract for your homegrown club and a team that, you know, I would have played for free. You know, I love that club, and you know what I mean, and I love going back, love watching them, and I still live in the area now, and it's an amazing place to play, an amazing place to live, and it was amazing. A boyhood dream, and you know what I mean, and I know that's stereotypical and everybody says it, but you know what I mean, it was a dream for me to play for a club. I'd done that, and I wanted it, and to sign a professional football contract at that club was amazing.
Well, one of the questions that comes in that links on quite well, actually, Andy, is about transfers and about how much are players involved in their transfers and in their sort of negotiations in their contracts.
On my first one, it was basically I was offered a contract and I signed it, so I didn't negotiate at all. But obviously when I was in the first team then, and 17, 18 years old, and players come to you with their agents, so they want to sign you on. So I did get an agent when I was 18 for my second contract who dealt with everything and came back and told me what he'd negotiated, and then I signed the contract. I didn't know what I was getting offered. I didn't ask for a certain figure. I was happy for him to do his work and earn his wages and get me the best deal that he possibly could, because but at the same time I didn't want him to go in there and upset the apple cart.
Happy to sign.
For the club to think I was greedy, because if that was the case, you know what I mean, I told my agent that I wanted to stay because at the time I was playing football, I was enjoying it, I was living here, it was my club, and I was happy to sign the deal and not upset anyone at the football club.
Yeah. So Andy, a question about wages then. How, you know, we see all these massive deals, you know, the Ronaldos of the world, the Bales on silly money. How much money do these players actually take home then? Obviously agents have got to be paid taxes, pensions. Do they take a lot of this money home?
Well, halfway through my agent, so on my 18th birthday, I signed another deal. I had to pay my agent a fee. So instead of the club paying, like they do now, players had to pay. So I had to pay my agent. I had to pay my agent £5,000 out of money what I had. And that's when things evolved over the years. And now obviously players don't pay agents. Players have got more power because players are more important than they were when I played football. And you know what I mean, like looking back now, it's a big chunk because you have to take your own money and pay an agent. Obviously, accumulation over years, you're going to get that money back. The agent gets you a signed run fee at Christmas, which will probably pay that back and things. But at the time, it's quite a big. It's a huge outlay because you know what I mean. As a young lad, a young player, you know what I mean, you want to start getting on the housing ladder. You want to buy the new clothes, the new shoes, the new cars. You know what I mean, there's these things that you want to do, and at the time it was quite a big outlay. But as I say, things have evolved now, and you know what I mean, players have got image rights now. We've got they've got huge sponsorship deals from Nike, Adidas, whoever. They've got social media rights. From Instagram and all this. You know what I mean? This is just it's all spiraled out of control. And players have that much power and they make that much money. They don't even know how much money they're probably making and how much money they're worth. Where players years ago, it wasn't a case of that. It was probably every man for himself and try and make as much money as you can in a short space of time.
Have you seen? There's a documentary that came out around Christmas time. I think it was No Hunger in Paradise. Did you see that? And it was about sort of like young kids now getting touted by these big companies and getting signed up into contracts really early. And I think they used this the example, didn't they, of like this 7-year-old boy that was getting 20,000 a year or something like that. It was something really silly like that, or he was getting put into a trust fund for him, and sort of like Arsene Wenger was talking about maybe putting sort of like a cap on the wages until you're 18, wasn't he, or 21, so that players wouldn't move away from their hometown clubs. You know, what do you think about that? Sort of, do you see that in your? Because I think you do a bit of coaching as well, don't you? Football coaching.
Yeah, well, one of my good friends, he signed for Chelsea when he was 14, and they moved his mum and dad there. They bought them a house, they bought them a car. He was paid from 14. Well, his parents were given a wage. And he never made it as a professional footballer. But as a kid, he was one of the best things that I'd ever seen. Technically, he had everything, but things didn't work out the way that he wanted, which the club wanted. But you know what I mean? His parents and the family did okay out of it. But it's what you want. You know what I mean? Would you swap all that to be a professional footballer? I know I would have done. You know what I mean? Because it's just I don't agree with it, but it's how clubs work. Clubs work now to get players into an area, into schools, because then they're classed as homegrown players, and it's such a grey area.
I can imagine.
For me, if you're Cardiff City born and bred, you're Cardiff City homegrown talent. If you're born in Spain and you move into Cardiff when you're 14, you're not a homegrown player. You can still sign. I've got no problem with that. But you're not a homegrown player if you haven't been in the system for at least 4, 5, maybe 6 years, maybe longer.
Yeah, you're right. Who's the best player you've ever seen who hasn't made it?
In your opinion, of course.
A player who hasn't made it?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a documentary. The boy was called Mark Platts, and he played for Sheffield Wednesday. And every time we went down to Sheffield Wednesday, this kid was unbelievable. He was touted as the new Ryan Giggs. I've never seen anything like it. He would score 6-7 goals a game. He would glide past players. He was amazing footballer. Technically very good. He had pace. He had power. He was bigger than everybody, stronger than everybody. I think he did make a debut for Sheffield Wednesday when he was 16. I think he was a little bit older than I was when I first come in, but he was the next thing since sliced bread. And I still speak to him now and again when I'm on social media, but he just didn't get the break that he needed at the time, and things didn't work out. And you know, it was such a shame because he was a lovely lad, and talent-wise, you know what I mean, he was the best thing I'd ever seen. And if he hadn't made it, I wouldn't be surprised if he was on the same level as Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard, because he was that good. He was that good.
What do you think makes what makes the difference then, Andy, between people that make it and don't? Do you think it's luck? Do you think it's talent? Do you think it's just what do you think?
I don't think to be a professional footballer, I think talent is not the be all and end all. I think you've got to have more desire than any other person on that pitch. You've got to have a heart. You've got to run through the brick wall. You know what I mean? I was never ever the best footballer. You know what I mean? In the team, I was probably one of the least skillful, probably the least talented players. But I had speed, which was a massive thing that no other person had what I had, and I just had a heart and a desire that I wanted to make it as a footballer. And I think you have to be so probably determined and so. You just wanted it more than your friend did, and you know what I mean. And if you had that as a young player to get where you wanted to be, then you had to walk all over somebody else. And you know what I mean. That's not me being disrespectful or me being horrible. You just had to do it because if it wasn't me, it'd be somebody else. You know what I mean. What would I have done if I wasn't? I wouldn't like to think.
I was reading Craig Bellamy's autobiography, and it was really interesting actually, because he said when you get to a certain level, everyone's skillful, everyone's fast, everyone, there's a certain level, isn't there? And then it comes down to about attitude and how much, like you rightly said, how much you want it, really.
Yeah. I think, and I think that's key. You know what I mean? He looked at Bella himself. He wore heart in his sleeve.
Yeah.
He ran through a brick wall every single game for his club, for his country. You know what I mean? It didn't matter what colour shirt he put on. And you know what I mean? He's one of the most hated players to play on the opposition's team because everyone hated playing against him, and that's what he wanted. You know what I mean? And I think that's key. You know what I mean? That you get some players in a team who players don't mind playing against, and you know, they're not the kind of players that you want in your dressing room. You want the opposite, and you want players who other players and other teams hate because you know they've got that X factor.
Did you ever have a team like that or players when you were up against and you were like, you just don't want to play against them?
Not today.
Is there any...
For me, it was always Stoke City. It was always the way they played. We always had. We always went down to their ground, and it was always windy. It didn't matter what time of the year it was. You know what I mean? Because the four sides were open at the ground at the time. They played long ball. They got in your face. They worked hard. You know, and it was just we just never seemed to get the result that we wanted against them. And even looking back over the years when Tony Pulis went in, you know what I mean? The style of the football, they carried it on. They probably even went even more direct if that's possible. Every single team we went to play against them hated playing against them.
He's at Middlesbrough now, isn't he? Pulis?
Well, he's at Middlesbrough now, and I think he's trying to implement that style of football here, and it's not going down. It's not going down too swimmingly at the minute.
Local boy
in the press and with certain people. All I want the football club to be successful. If that's with the style of football, then so be it.
Would you take a Tony Pulis and play in the Premier League, or a Mourinho and playing, you know, or maybe not Mourinho, a more glamorous manager and be playing in Division 3?
100%. I'm all for success, and you know what I mean. Under Brian Robson, we played all this football and got relegated and didn't win anything. You know, would you rather play attractive football and beat 4-3, or would you rather under Tony Pulis play a little bit more direct and win 1-0? Neil Warnock type of football. You know what I mean?
That's what I was going to say.
It's not everyone's cup of tea. It's Marmite. You love it or you hate it, but results speak for itself, and success speaks for itself.
And we're in the Premiership, aren't we, Andy? So
well, exactly. Who cares?
I put a £50 bet on Andy, right, that Cardiff City would get promoted last season. At the beginning of the season, I would have paid out like £1,500, but Cardiff City did their normal thing around Christmas time of doing the best they can not to win a match. So I cashed out then. I was at the end of the season, I was in tears.
Well, to be fair, and I think at that time, you know what I mean, because everyone else was winning, the gap was closed. It wasn't Wolves. Wolves were obviously running away with it at the time, and everyone else, probably the 6 teams below, were all fighting for one place. And I think at Christmas I was worried. I was worried because I couldn't even see them getting in the playoffs at that time.
No, you're right.
And then all of a sudden, the screw turned and every player started doing the jobs again. And players are coming back from injury, players are coming back to form, and it all just came right at the right time.
Touching on something you said earlier, there's always people in jobs who are absolutely useless, and you're like, how the hell did they get that job? Was there any other professionals you played against you thought, Jesus Christ, how the hell are they professional?
I always compare yourself when I was younger at centre forwards, and I always, you know what I mean. And I always looked at one, and it was Andy Campbell playing for Leicester City. And he used to get he got a £7 million move to Wolves. He got a £5 million move to Leicester. I think he moved down to the North East. And I just thought, you know what I mean? What's he got that I haven't got, and what's he got that some other players haven't got? And you know what I mean? Sometimes they've not been in the right place at the right time, and some people have not scored the goal at the right time or moving at the right time, and I think that's key. And I never begrudge anything from everybody, you know what I mean? But I just think sometimes it is just about being in the right place at the right time, and you know what I mean, and getting an opportunity and following managers, players following managers, and he did it, you know what I mean? And sometimes, and I did it a couple of times as well, that you follow managers along to different clubs because you're comfortable and managers move at the right time and then players follow suit, and sometimes you just you don't hold a grudge and you just crack on, and you know what I mean, fair play to what players get and what players earn and whatever, and but sometimes you think, Jesus, how are they there, or how are they doing what they're doing? I
used to work in River Island, the clothes store. Worst job I've ever done in my life, Andy.
5 o'clock start.
Once, genuinely, I was considering throwing myself down the stairs to get out of work. It was appalling. But in that organisation, they didn't like people, weirdly, to talk about how much money they were on. Is that the same in football?
I've never had a conversation about money in football.
Yeah, with other players.
One surreal time we were in the baths in the Millennium Stadium straight after the playoff final, and players were celebrating about bonuses and things. So people were celebrating and telling each other about a bonus scheme which everyone thought that it was individual bonuses, but it wasn't. It was a collective bonus. Nobody knew, but we all celebrated at the time. That's the only time that I've ever spoke to other players about money or heard a conversation about money.
Yeah.
And it was at the time it was such a surreal time that you sat in the bath with a can of lager while talking about money with other players, and it's probably an hour and a half after the game, which all you want to do is just go and see your family for an hour.
Yeah.
Go and try and sit down and have something to eat because you haven't eaten for probably 2 days. They're worried about a game, and yeah, it was a surreal time. But yeah, it was only ever time. But no, there's no other time that I've ever had a conversation about money.
If you had to say one player, who was the best player you played with? Because you played, and the under-21s with players like Gerrard, wasn't it? Lampard.
Gerrard, Frankie Lampard,
Paul
Rio
Scholes.
Ferdinand.
Emmy Heskey.
I've got 3, and there's two in the 21s, and there's one in Middlesbrough, and it's the first time round when he came. It's Juninho in Middlesbrough.
No.
It was just world class, Messi-esque, that good. Stevie Gerrard and Michael Owen. You know, you could just tell. You could tell 18, 19 that Stevie and Michael were going to be absolute world beaters because they had that something extra more than anybody else at that time, and you're trying to catch them up, you're trying to emulate what they're doing, but there's just you just know that you're just not as good as they are, and you try and you work hard and you do your best, but you just can't do it.
One sort of player I've always respected, and I know he's a very divisive player, with Robbie Savage, just his work ethic. What did you play against him?
Yeah, I played against Robbie a few times. The thing is, Robbie reminds me a little bit of Danny Mills.
Yeah.
The same thing. Danny Mills was probably one of the most hated footballers in British football. That nobody seemed to like him. Even his own fans didn't like him. But he played hundreds and hundreds of games. Yeah. He played for his country in the World Cup. He was a very, very, very talented footballer. And every single same as Robbie, that everyone loved to hate him. But I tell you what, if I was picking a team at that time generation, I would have both of them. I'd have both of them in my team.
Yeah, because someone like Savage, it's kind of like
it's just annoying, isn't he?
Everyone hates playing against the people like the Energizer Bunny, and they just keep going and going and going, and they're a nightmare to play against.
Doing the jobs that nobody enjoys doing.
Yeah,
you know that it was Robbie was in the mould for me of Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira, but just not as skillful, but did the jobs that nobody else liked doing.
Hey, what was?
I mean, every team needed one, and if you didn't have one, that's when you struggled.
Yeah. What was it like playing against Roy Keane? Did you ever play against him?
Played against him for United. Played against him at Celtic in the cup final. Played against him at Celtic in a league game, and he was something else.
Was he scary?
He was horrible. Yeah, he was horrible, but in a nice kind of way. That he would talk to you nicely in the game, and then go and smash you in a tackle 5 seconds later, and then pick you up to do it again. He was just the nicest bloke, but you try to avoid him on the pitch, which was impossible.
Impossible. You have a steam train like that.
He was so fit as well. He played.
Yeah.
I always remember Brian Robson used to tell me stories about him that he used to say, train as you play, and he used to think it's hard to do that because it's trying to emulate a game and a training day is so hard. But Roy used to do that. I think that Roy used to train as he played, that he would demand everything from everybody, and he would smash you in training like he'd smash someone in a game. And I think it's only when you get older and when you start getting into the coaching and management that you want your own players to do that, but you just know it's quite impossible at times.
Yeah, because he was a boxer, wasn't he? Didn't Roy Keane go into boxing before football?
I'd probably say Street Fighter. He was that scary.
I can imagine.
I know, he is a tough
Andy,
one.
you know when...
I wouldn't like to get in the ring with him.
No, Al, no. Andy, you know we talked about this off the air before. How much of the fans' abuse and that can you hear?
I think when you're taking a corner, when it's a throw-in, when the ball's out of play, you can hear individuals or bits and bobs. When the game's on, it's just a noise. Yeah,
it's just a wall of noise.
An echo. It's an echo. You know what I mean? When it's a goal, it's the greatest sound in the world, but you can't hear probably what people are saying. Even when you do something wrong, you know what I mean? That you can hear moans and groans, but you understand it because it's something you've done wrong. If it's a bad pass, if it's a bad shot, if it's a penalty miss, if it's if you're giving the ball away, if you're giving the goal away, and it's just one of those things. It's just, you know what I mean? You can't let it affect you, because if you go into your shell, you know what I mean, you're going to get it even more so, because then you're not running around and you're not doing what you're paid to do. And, you know what I mean? And it's the same thing if you're working in the shop and you drop something, and you know what I mean, what you're going to do? Go hide it for the next 6 hours for your shift? Isn't going to happen, because you're going to get more abuse, or you're going to lose your job. You can't. You know what I mean? It is one of those things that you just got to try and be so mentally stable and mentally tough that you've just got to get on with it. Try and get on with it. I know it's hard, and it is hard as well.
Is there any fans that like the players talk about? Because there's a well-known Cardiff City fan.
You must know him, Di
Hunt. And remember, we were watching a football match today, and one match, you know, we were at the old Ninian Park, and who was he chasing after down the side? He literally would chase players down the front of the terrace.
Yeah.
Who was he chasing? And they stopped during the match and had a go at him.
Oh, that was it. It was Ainsworth. Was it Ainsworth, the player who played the City? Gareth Ainsworth.
He stopped during the match. I've never seen it before, and just told him to piss off, didn't he? Because he was just abusing him all match.
You look at probably the most famous one, isn't it? Is the Cantona incident where Eric's just been sent off and he's getting abused by the fellow with the leather jacket, and you know what I mean. It's just you do hear things, but you know what I mean. You want to say something, but you know what I mean. That you don't want to say something out of respect. You know what I mean. I think when you're doing it, you know what I mean. Probably the worst I come across is we played Millwall away. It was a Tuesday or Wednesday night when we were in the Championship, and I was stood that day and warming up. Oh my God, I've never got so much abuse in all my life. I couldn't believe what they were saying. I tell you what, though, it was probably the best warm up I've ever done, because I didn't stand still for longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Normally I'd stretch for a minute or two, but I was getting that much abuse that I thought, I can't handle it. I'll have the best warm up, and I'll go and sit down back in the dugout, because it was so intimidating and so scary.
Yeah.
And just they were so close to the pitch. It was like they were stood next to me, or just wanted to grab hold of me, and I was just so scared, because I didn't want to turn around as well in case they thought that I was trying to give something back to them, and they were going to wait me after the game. So I went back in the dugout and told the manager I was ready to come on. The safest place was probably on the pitch.
I'll never forget. It was Peter Thorne. So this ball comes to him. Everyone say, "Thorny, do that, Tyler." The minute he does it, the ball comes to him when he wasn't expecting it, and the fans went mental on him, Andy. So they were distracting and then abusing him. We are fickle as fans, aren't we?
But I think though, it's just passionate, isn't it? You know what I mean? Fans are trying to get the best out of him, and he's not trying his best. He's trying his best every single game, because I know Peter was a lad, and you know what I mean. I knew every time he goes on that training pitch, he wants to be the best that he can be. And it's so hard, because you go on the pitch wanting to try your best, you go on the pitch wanting to play well, but it just doesn't happen the way that you want it to do. And sometimes you come across like a right idiot, because you're trying to play well, you're playing badly, you're trying to keep the fans happy by doing the things that you wanted to do, but then you just look even stupid, because you can't win, and you can't win. And sometimes you go home and you just think, oh my God, I'll put that one to bed. Tomorrow's another day, try and get on with it tomorrow.
It is annoying. It's like, you know, when we have a kick around every now and again, and it's when you're not a professional footballer, you know, and you're playing crap, you get abused, but you know it doesn't really matter. But imagine when it's like 30,000 people going absolutely nuts on you.
You'd want to avoid the city centre the next day.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, and I think, you know what I mean, we socialise together quite a lot at Cardiff, and you know what I mean, and you win, lose, and you draw. You know what I mean. You plan before the game that you're gonna go out a couple of days before with the wives, with the girlfriends, with the lads, and you know what I mean. Even if you want to win, you want to try and get a positive result, because you know yourself that potentially you're going to get some dog's abuse after the game.
Ah, see.
And I all remember I remember it like it was yesterday, because it was one of the probably the lowest points at Cardiff. That my daughter was born in 2004 in Cardiff on the Saturday. The following Saturday we played Leeds United at home and missed a penalty, and we were all going out to wet the baby's head, having a drink, and it was just the worst night of my life, because I just had a shocking game, missed a penalty, drew 0-0. You know what I mean? I had the world on my shoulders at the minute, but I was going out celebrating the best moment of my life, really. My first daughter was born, and it was just a surreal time. That you know what I mean? People say comments, and good comments, bad comments, but you've got to be so mentally tough, mentally strong. Because, you know what I mean? What you're supposed to do, sit in the house 24/7 after a game of football, you can't do it. You've got to have a life, and you've got to have a social life, and that's going to a restaurant, go to the cinema, just going to get a coffee. You know what I mean? Go to a nightclub, go to a pub. You've got to be.
Yeah.
You've got. You know what I mean? And nowadays players have got to be even more careful because you've got social media, you've got camera phones.
Yeah, definitely.
You didn't have all that when I played football, so it was such. You know what I mean? It was probably more talking to people, and you know. But then you have to be approachable and let people be able to ask you questions.
That's the problem, you know, going back to when I used to work in TV and film, Andy, what I used to find really, really strange is how, you know, all these celebrities just be going about their business or they'd be on the phone and stuff, and in really inappropriate moments, people would ask for a photo. I remember I was working with a singer, and he was just outside the studio to take a phone call, and people were like, oh, let's have a photo, and he was like, oh, 2 seconds, I'm just on the phone. And the abuse he got because he wouldn't drop everything to have a conversation with these people. It must be tough, because the thing is, we have good and bad days, Andy, like anyone else. You know, some days you don't want to talk to people, do you?
No.
And I think that comes as well with families as well, because your family goes and watches you during a game. You're coming out the ground with your family, holding your kids, for example. And, and one thing, you might not want your kids to be in a photo. Two, your kids might not want to be. You might have a baby who doesn't want to be put down. And it's such a tough one, because as a player you want to be approachable with fans. You don't want fans to think that you're obnoxious. You don't want to relate to them, but at the same time you're there to protect your family as well. So I do understand both sides of it, because I've had it during my lifetime. But at the same time, you've just got to be approachable.
Yeah,
and players nowadays they aren't. They're not as approachable as they were back in the day when I played.
It is a tough line, isn't it? Have you ever been starstruck when you've been playing then?
Yes, once I was. But it was after a game that and I never thought I would be. We played Man United once for Middlesbrough, and we did really well this game.
Is that when you won 2-0?
No, we got beat 1-0. David Beckham scored last minute, but I was playing on the left and I was marking David Beckham, well, indirectly. And he last minute he killed in a cross. It was a cross. And Max Water ended up making a mistake, throwing it in. We got beat 1-0. So went in the players' lounge for a quick drink before the bus home. David Beckham comes over, sits on my table with one of my teammates, and buys me a drink, sits down, having a conversation, and then I was a little bit freaked out that David Beckham knows my name, he knows a little bit about me, and then his girlfriend at the time, Posh Spice, sits down on the same table as us. Table with me, like one of my friends who's played football with me, David Beckham and Posh Spice. I'll be like, oh my God, this is probably the highlight of my life. And,
weird.
Sometimes you just think this doesn't get any better. And then you're trying to tell people a story, and people are just thinking, is he lying? Is he making it up? It's such a surreal moment. It's a lifetime moment, really. But it was a malformed moment.
What was he like as a guy then?
Absolute gentleman. He was, you know what I mean. He's just won a football match. You know what I mean. We were a little bit deflated. He comes over and says how unlucky I was, or we were as a team, how well I played, how well my friend played. You know what I mean. Asking questions about who you play next week. You know what I mean. Who he thinks the best player. You know what I mean. And he's such a down to earth. Down to earth lad. And you know what I mean. And at the time, I was so grateful for him to take his time. He didn't have to come over. He didn't have to come and speak to us. He could have gone home. He could have shot off in the car. He didn't have to take any time at all because his family were there. His dad was there. He could have just ignored us like the majority of people did that day, which I didn't mind at the time.
But once, Andy, I met your mate, old Frank Lampard, right? I was working on a show, and he was there with his partner, Christine Blakely, is it?
Yeah.
And basically, I was just pottering around before we were going into him, asked him a question. Completely did not get my joke, Andy, right? So this was after they played Spain in Wembley. He scored the winner, 1-0. So after, and there was all talking in the media about him leaving Chelsea at the time and stuff. And I was like, listen, Frank, you know, have you ever thought about coming to play for Cardiff? Complete silence, right? I felt awkward as hell. I was like, oh, come down. Complete silence. No, I don't think so. I walked off.
Did you really?
Yeah. I felt even smaller than I am now, Andy.
Yeah. And I think that's it's been approachable as well, isn't it? It's going back to that word, and it's just bad timing, isn't it? Sometimes it's just bad timing speaking to people at the wrong time, and you just don't know what's going. It's just timing of doing stuff.
That said, though, he wasn't. I've got to say, he was a nice guy. That was. He warmed up a bit after.
It's a bit of a crap joke, though.
Yeah.
Andy, what on the flip side of that? Who's the worst? If you ever met a player and you thought, "What an arrogant shit."
I'd probably say more intimidating. It was Nigel Pearson, so ex-Leicester manager.
Nigel Pearson. He's a big bloke, isn't he?
Just couldn't get a conversation out of him. Couldn't speak to him.
Yeah.
He talked to you when he wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
When you wanted to talk to him, he just didn't seem as approachable as every other player did. It was like if you spoke to him, you speak to him via someone else.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit like, you know what I mean? And I was very, very nervous going to talk to him. And sometimes that's tough. It's tough because as a young lad, you need some advice, you need some help, and you know what I mean. I didn't feel as though that I got that sometimes from Nigel, but. You know, that might have been just a personal thing, but that's how I felt at the time.
Yeah. We talked earlier about this. There's no, with social media and stuff like that, and you're always conscious of cameras. But one place where players can express themselves is the changing rooms at half time. So what comes on the changing rooms, Andy?
Everything you can imagine. Arguments, fights.
Fights? What, do people have proper duster?
Yeah, I've seen all sorts. Cups getting smashed off walls, things getting thrown around.
Boots getting kicked in the head.
I've seen everything. I don't think it's something that. There's something. Nothing would probably shock me what I've seen in the change room, and what happens in the change room is always stayed in the change room. It's never filtered outside. It's never gone back on the pitch, or it's never gone into the players' lounge, or it's never. You know what I mean? It is just. Whatever's said in there is not personal, but it needs to be said, and it has to be said at the time because it's what's helped get into a second half or after a game. Which you know, what I mean, there's been some long conversations in change rooms, hour and a half locked in the change room where you just want to go home, or you know what I mean, or the awkward silences. You know what I mean? I remember the longest time in the change room probably ever was after we got beat by Stoke City in the playoffs when they scored the last minute winner in normal time and a bit in extra time.
Right.
The year before we got promoted, and we must have sat in the change room for hour and a half, maybe longer, 2 hours, and it was just complete silence. But it was like a morgue. It was like somebody died, and
like a Mexican standoff.
Nobody dared move. Nobody dared make the first move, and it took me up to. That was a night game, so I think it was about 11:30, and somebody then decided to go in the shower. I think it was Spencer Pryor or one of the older boys, and then the second person went in, and then the third person went in, and then by the time you knew it, it was midnight, and we were just the season's out. They're just final at Wembley, and it was just the most annoying and upsetting time because nobody dared say anything because. We all just let ourselves down. We all let the fans down, and there was no words, and there was no need for words because we just knew the silence was golden at that time. And if somebody had said something, it probably wouldn't have gone down well anyway. So it's probably the best thing.
So who was the biggest joker you ever played with then? Because lads being lads, we used to play football all our lives. Obviously not professional, but you always have characters in changing rooms and the teams, don't you?
I'd probably go the Welflot, Ernie, Gabs, Ginge. Those three together were dangerous. And you know what I mean. They were like if you let one of them off, they all went off, and they sparked each other off. And you know what I mean. And at that time we had a couple of older players, didn't we? Spencer Pryor and Carv and Thorny, and you know what I mean. And I wasn't one of the young block. And other players. So it was good to have those live wires around the changing room because they kept us all on our toes. They kept us all younger than we were, and they were cracking lads to have around. And they were everything what was going on in the club. If it was practical jokes, if it was daft pranks, if it was just having fun, they would always be involved. And it was so much fun to have around. And bus journeys, which were always long journeys by the way, to every single game we went, were always fun because it was all strict.
Andy, talking about that then, obviously as a footballer you have to stay out a lot, you're in hotels and stuff like that. Did you have a regular roommate?
Yeah, my roommate was Willie Boland. Willie shared the room with Cardiff. When he was in Middlesbrough, it was me and Mark Somerville. Mark was a young lad, so when he was at Cardiff, it was me and Willie. For the majority of away games, we always sat together on the bus. We played cards, we watched films, we had a bit of fun, had a bit of banter, and it was just it's just comfortable because I live around the corner from Willie as well, so I was good friends with him, still friends with him now. when he left Cardiff and signed for Hartlepool, he came to live with me in my house in Middlesbrough.
Oh, wow.
A short while, so I've always had a really good relationship with Willie. So it always made sense to follow that on.
Was there anyone you didn't want to share a room with?
Yeah,
was
anyone
there
you
anyone who was
avoided?
like, right, I'm not sharing a room with him. Whatever happens, I'm on the landing.
I'd probably say Spencer, because I just found him really boring, and I just couldn't. He was an experienced player, and you know what I mean. He liked all this heavy metal music as well.
Oh,
that wasn't
no.
for me if he, you know what I mean. And you know, I remember at Middlesbrough, I shared a room with Jan Fjortoft, and Jan watched TV when he wanted to watch it. He switched the lights off and the TV off when he wanted them off.
Oh, my brother's like that.
It was like being shouted at by my mum and dad again. That I had to go to bed and have my lights off at a certain time. And I couldn't get used to it.
No.
Couldn't get used to it. So it was nice to have somebody of a similar age as myself, so I could relate them and have a bit of fun and stay up as late as I wanted and watch TV on my own if they were asleep.
My brother's like that, Andy. We went on holiday and we had to stay in a room together. There was a mix-up and, my God, it's so frustrating, isn't it? Because when he wanted to watch TV, we watched TV. When he was tired, the TV went off.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember, I remember all the players as well, they get up early in the morning and they go and get a taste and they get breakfast and they have a bath early, and I just wanted to sleep in, and when I mean sleep in, I mean sleep in till like 9 o'clock, not get up at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And people open the curtains, and it's just, I just wanted to just crawl up and die sometimes. Because you just want to sleep in, because especially when you've got kids at home, that's probably the only sleep in you get.
Yes, oh yes. I've just had a son, Andy, and I can test that. And Chris has got two.
Sometimes nice to go away in a hotel on the Friday night for a game on a Saturday, because you only sleep in. It's only sleeping you do, yeah.
What does an average footballer's day consist of then? You know, how much actual work do they do, and how much free time do they have?
I'd probably say on a daily thing, you'd probably get to training about 9:30. You'd probably start training around 10 o'clock. You'd probably be done by lunchtime, have some dinner, and I'd be very surprised if you're still there by after 1 o'clock.
God, that's alright, Andy.
So, you know what I mean? And that's Monday, Tuesday. Normally you would get a day off on a Wednesday unless you had a game. You'd be in Thursday, in Friday, or home, or travelling. Game Saturday. Sometimes warm down on a Sunday if you've got a midweek game or day off again. It's such, you know what I mean? But it's high intensity work for a short period of time. But it's worth 2 hours work to have the rest of the day off. It's a surreal, and it's just a joy. It's not a job; it's a hobby at times. You know what I mean? And I think that's what probably gets people's backs up and probably upsets people. When people are doing 12-hour shifts, and footballers are working for probably 10 hours a week.
God, that's not even part-time, is it?
It's upsetting, you know what I mean? And I get that. But it's just one of the things.
I was listening to this story the other day, and it's about this cricket champion. He was a cricketer for Australia, and they used to. This was just at, in the 40s or 50s, I think it was, and he kept being asked how he stays cool and things under pressure. And he said pressure is when you're being shot at the arse by a German Messerschmitt. Talking about being a professional cricketer, he said it's not pressure. It's just, as you said, that's just fun.
Yeah. One of the things I can just imagine, I can just imagine what people say, but you know what I mean, pressure. You know what I mean? Football, it's a pressure for me that you put on yourself.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because, you know what I mean? And I go back to that, you got to be mentally stable. And, you know what I mean? If people don't read social media, or people don't read paper, don't listen to the radio, they're going into the game with the only pressure that they put on themselves and what the manager puts on them. And managers don't put any pressure on you, because managers don't want you to go there with any worries. They want you to go there with confidence and going into the game thinking that you're the best player in the world. And it works, and that's where the likes of Jose Mourinho and Pep Guardiola come into their own, and they're the best of the best, because their players go to the games with no pressure and play with the world at their feet, and results speak for itself.
Andy, you know when so say you're playing on a winning team and stuff. I've heard that there's managers in the past who, when teams are winning, they would lay you off training. Was that? Did you ever experience any of that? Yes and no. I remember it happened a couple of times at Middlesbrough that we would due to be on a Sunday for a warm down, that if we won on a Saturday, and the manager would say that before a game, that if you win today you can have tomorrow off. But then at the same time, I remember we played Coventry City at Cardiff, and
we lost 3-1 away, and Lenny brought us in on the Sunday for training, and it coincided with Middlesbrough were playing in the Carling Cup final as well at Cardiff against Bolton Wanderers. So it was an absolute shocker for me because I was desperate to go to the game, and I had all family coming down and staying over. So it was a bit of a bad time for me because I was I think I hopped straight from training all the way down to Millennium Stadium in my training kit and watched the Middlesbrough game. So it was I think everyone was a bit confused and a bit freaked out with what I was doing, but it is what it is, and you know what I mean. It's an incentive, and some players it motivates them. Some players it doesn't. Some players will go and do their own training on the Sunday anyway. So it doesn't really matter either way. So it's such a funny one.
Do you know, like, in terms of like a normal job, if you're feeling sick, you can ring in sick and things. Is that the same in football?
Yeah, because if you go into a club and spread your germs around, potentially we could have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players who are off on a Saturday and can't come. So what will happen is you ring the club doctor. The club doctor would come out and see you straight away. So the club doctor would come and give you whatever you needed, or give you a prescription for whatever you needed, and make sure that them germs aren't getting spread around the football club. Because that was the infamous time when Middlesbrough didn't go to Blackburn Rovers because we didn't have enough players. We got 3 points deducted that day because we didn't have enough players to go and travel to Blackburn Rovers.
Oh wow!
And we didn't go down there thinking that we'd been given permission to not play, and I think that was 96, 97.
Wow, I never heard that.
And we got points deducted because we only had like 5 players to go down there because everyone else was off poorly that week.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
gosh.
Andy, do you reckon, right? You know, there's this old, well, you would know more about it. There's this old myth about players getting booked on purpose around Christmas time. Do you reckon that exists? It does.
I know it does, yeah. I know it does. I know players who do it. I'm not going to name names, but I know
No, don't name them.
I've done it on purpose to get Boxing Day off because they want to have a drink at Christmas and I don't want to have New Year's Day off. It happens all the time.
So it definitely. So
I'd probably get the other way. I'd probably get the nicest referee in the world who wouldn't be able to wear 4-4 if I could kick someone or if I punch someone. I'd probably get missed. It would have been my luck, but nah, I've never done it because I never liked getting booked or sent off.
No.
So you know what I mean? But people accumulate bookings over Christmas, I know it happens, unfortunately, but it's not my cup of tea, that.
So around Christmas time now, we see players going 2-footed challenges in the 90th minute. We know what's going on.
Yeah, true, right, they're having too much turkey.
Yeah, they're 5-0 up, two-footed challenge.
They're living it large somewhere in the country, having a big Christmas dinner.
Let's talk about your City days then. What was it like in the Sam Human era?
Yeah, any good Sam Human stories?
Sam was amazing with me. Everyone asks this about because Sam always has that initiation with people. And I met Sam in the hotel with Lenny and a couple of directors, and everything was spot on. He didn't make me eat anything strange. He didn't make me do anything weird, which was great. But there was a funny story. Dean came from Middlesbrough on loan, and him and Sam had an argument one day about football.
Right.
Dean went training and left his car outside the ground, and Sam stole his car and got it hijacked and put it on top of the Cardiff City Stadium and left it there for a week whilst the dispute with Dean and himself calmed down, just because he could. Because Sam had that much power, and I just thought it was hilarious because Sam was just such an amazing guy.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, people say that my goal made City where it is now, but Sam Man also played a massive part. And if it wasn't for the Sam Man days and the money what he put in and brought in Tony, brought in Cav, brought in other players, that club wouldn't be where it is now, and it wouldn't be in the Premier League. And he doesn't get enough credit from me.
No, well, I always remember Sam Man, the Leeds game. Remember when he went behind the goal?
Yeah, but he did that. He did that every game, and he walked round. And alright, he didn't stand behind the goal and make a nuisance of himself in front of the Leeds fans, but he walked round every single game.
Yeah.
I remember like my first home game, Blackpool, we drew 2-2, and he did it then. Because I remember I scored at both ends that day, and I remember scoring the first goal. He was behind the goal, and he was the first person I celebrated with, and it was something that I wasn't used to, but it was something that I thought, hey, you know, this works. This is quite a good thing. They got fans going, and and he's relating to the working class people.
Yeah, definitely.
And it just worked 100%, and I liked it. And obviously the FA got involved after the Leeds game and banned it, and I understood why they banned it later on, but it just didn't. Yeah, I don't know. But he's got to take huge credit because he's played a huge role in what he's done for that football club and what he did at Wimbledon as well, because he doesn't get enough credit for what he's done in football.
He's seen as a bit of a villain, isn't he? Like City people love him.
He is. All chairmans are, and Peter Ridsdale is as well, and Peter played a big part as well, and Peter's one of the most hated men at Leeds United for what he did at Leeds United. And same with Cardiff, and I find it such a shame because, you know what I mean, he didn't go in that football club to ruin Cardiff City. He went in to do his best, and things didn't work out the way that he wanted, so he had to move on and go somewhere else.
Yeah, I love Sam, man. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, he was right for Cardiff. I think Cardiff. Well,
he was the right fit at the right time. I agree, 100% agree.
And sometimes in life, the right people come around at the right times, don't they? When I was doing a little bit of research for this, I found out something interesting. You know, Alan Cork is Cardiff City's second most successful manager underneath Neil Warnock.
Is he really?
And his win ratio, well, this is according to Wikipedia. Apparently, he's got like a win ratio of 48%, and Warnock is 50%. I didn't know that.
Corky was the first. Well, Corky was the first person who got in touch with me because Lenny was director of football, and Corky was the manager. So Corky rang me to get me to go on loan, and when I decided to sign, 3 days later, he'd been given the sack. He got sacked after the Wigan game. I think I got beat 4-0 at Wigan, and he got sacked. And it was such a shame because I knew Corky for a few years before that previously, so it was. It was such a shame because he was a lovely bloke, and I was looking forward to working with him. But it doesn't surprise me because he was doing a great job, and that's what surprised me that he got the sack after one real bad defeat.
Yeah, it's a funny one with football, isn't it?
Andy, I got a question. Do you know transfers? Are they done really informally? For me, it sounds like...
Yeah.
Are they really informal? Because, like, the press probably think it's all to do with, like, high solicitors moving and things like that. But I remember years ago, Tom Ince, when he met with his solicitor?
That was down Swansea, wasn't it?
It was in McDonald's, wasn't it?
That's
Are they really informal?
They can be. You know what I mean? I remember... I've met managers, I've met me Costa, I've met meeting at random places, you know what I mean, meeting in the pub and have a pint, and it all depends on the situation at the time, it all depends, you know what I mean, because I don't think that's player's choice, because, you know what I mean, I remember Chris Wilder, so I remember when I was coming home, and Chris Wilder was a Halifax town manager at the time, and Chris asked me to meet him in a pub to talk terms and stuff, and so I drove there. He was in Sheffield. She lived in Sheffield, and I'd had a pint with him, and I was going to drive home. By the time I'd had another pint, couldn't drive home. So by the time he's put three pints down my neck, I couldn't. Probably I couldn't remember my own name, so I'd signed anyway. But that's the way that he did things, and that's the way that he comes across, and he's a man's man, and he's a proper football man. But that's the way that he does things, and you know what I mean. It made me feel a little bit more comfortable meeting him and his staff in a pub, over a pint, sorry. And it made things a lot better. But other people do things differently. They want representatives there. They want it done at football clubs with it can be uncomfortable at times.
Because I think that's what, like, as a fan, that's what we like. We like to know things are still done old-fashioned, you know. You meet a guy in a park, sit down, come and play for us, I'll be down there next week, you know. We kind of, it kind of romanticises a very corporate world, doesn't it?
I think that's where Harry Redknapp comes in, and Harry Redknapp comes in with meets players out of car windows, and you know what I mean. He keeps it real, and I think in football we need those kind of people in football because if we're not careful, it's going to turn into an even bigger business. And I think for the working class people, you know, I mean, we don't want the kids to turn our kids to turn against football and for them to hate it because, you know, I mean, I can't imagine a life without football, and if one day, if we're not careful, it could turn a lot of people away.
Definitely. Who was that City player? Was it Ambonglahor? Was it Ambonglahor when
Man City?
Didn't he famously turn up at a thing on transfer day and he wasn't going anywhere. That was at West Ham, wasn't it?
Winnie, Peter
Winnie, that's right.
Yeah. He was sat outside QPR's training ground from West Brom wanting to sign a contract for them, but the clubs haven't even agreed a fee. He just can't make that stuff up. But we need them. We need those kind of stories in football because
definitely.
It just makes it even better.
There was one I heard, and I don't know if it's true. Do you know when Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank played for Cardiff City? I heard a story that he wasn't told his contract wasn't being renewed, and he turned up for training, and they sort of just basically shut the doors, and then someone went out and said, "Sorry, you haven't got a contract anymore." I don't know if that's true. I hope it is.
Well, to be fair, I think it does happen. So it certainly wouldn't surprise me if it did happen because it's just part and parcel of football, unfortunately.
He's a big fella. I wouldn't tell him to go away.
No,
I lock the door.
I would never issue Jimmy with bad news.
No, he's a big man, isn't he?
So Andy, who's the, as far as managers go then, who was the best and worst manager you've ever played under or with?
I would probably say the best managers I would probably say would be Brian Robson and Terry Venables. Because Terry came to Middlesbrough once he'd left Euro '96 with the England squad, and it was just an amazing coach. His knowledge of football was just outstanding, and I was surprised, to be fair, because I'd heard all these stories and heard all these good things, but I just couldn't believe that he just doesn't look like a football man and a football manager. But when working with him, he just knew everything about everything, and I'd say the worst is the tough one, because the worst is for me is people that I didn't enjoy working with. And the two that I didn't enjoy working with was Steve McLaren at Middlesbrough and Dave Jones at Cardiff. And that's just my personal opinion. They didn't seem to like me, and I just didn't relate to them. And do I wish things were different if I could turn the clock back? Yeah, of course I do. And I wish they like me, and I wish I liked them probably a little bit better, but it just didn't happen.
It happens in life, doesn't it?
But that's football, yeah. How boring would life be if you liked everybody and everyone was everybody's friend? Because it's a spice of life, you know what I mean? And not everyone's everybody's friend, and life would be so fake if that happened. And it just happens, and you know what I mean? And it'll happen again, I'm sure. It'll happen with people. This season in football clubs, it will happen this season with Neil Warnock at Cardiff City. It'll happen this season at Middlesbrough with Tony Pulis, and it's just football. It's life in general, and it's certainly football.
I think we can all relate to that. You know, there's been managers I've worked for who I've not got on with personally, and then it's hard to motivate yourself then, isn't it, to do things for them, and that's the same across any walk of life. Talking about managers then, Andy, there's a trail of thought that sometimes players can get managers sacked. Do you think that there's evidence to that? Do you think?
Well, you hear, don't you? They've lost the dressing room, and then a few days later, then they get fired. Do you think there's anything in that, Andy?
The players stop playing for him.
I think players can get managers sacked. It's never happened to me, and I've never witnessed it. But the grass is never green on the other side. You know what I mean? I go back to the two things what I've just spoke about there about Steve McLaren. You know what I mean? That my wish would be Brian Robson would have still been manager, and I might not have left. You know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? I'd love my time at Cardiff City, but you know what I mean? If Lenny Lawrence hadn't left, my time at Cardiff might have been a hell of a lot different again. You know, the grass isn't greener. You know, it's just not greener all of the time. And you know what I mean? Like people might in the first 6 games be slagging Neil Warnock off and asking for his head, and if things don't go the way that they want, but then all of a sudden they bring a new manager in and then want Neil Warnock back straight away because they're not playing the style of football that they want, or they're not doing this, not doing that, and football's such an opinionated area, and it's such. But it's that makes it even better because we've all got our opinions, and same as players. You know what I mean? But certain players might not be playing under a certain manager, get a new manager in and think, I'm going to get a chance now because I've got a new manager coming in and it doesn't work out. So you got to be very careful what you wish for.
Well, it's the same as Leicester City, isn't it? They won the Premier League. A few months later, then Claudio Ranieri gets sacked, doesn't he? And then someone else comes in, and look where they are now. You know, I know that they sold a lot of players, but
you can't. You just got to be careful what you wish for because you know what I mean. There's fairy tales to be had in football, and you know what I mean. And you want people to be like Ranieri should be. He should be given the freedom of the city.
I believe
definitely.
He should be an absolute hero there. But now he's probably he's probably one of the most hated managers in the world, but for where he's put them right this minute.
Yeah.
But, and that's not his fault. You know what I mean? It's people with big checkbooks, jumping on a couple of bad results at the wrong time and not giving him an opportunity to excel and flourish where he should have been.
Definitely. And talking about football then, Andy, because you've been through the leagues, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been through the leagues. Yeah, I've played in the league. Yeah.
So you've seen it all. So what is the biggest difference between professional football and non-league?
I would say it's that desire, desire and commitment. Because the lads that I see now who've probably got more talent than some professional footballers have, but they like to go out and socialise and have a drink and do things they shouldn't do, and that's the commitment for me, the desire. If they had more commitment and more desire, they'd be playing professional football. But because they haven't, someone else has got more commitment and more desire and wants to be professional footballer more than they do. But it's just worked out that they can't be because someone else has took their place because they want it more than they do.
Is there a big difference, in your opinion, between the because everyone always says this, the top half of the Championship is just as good as the lower part of the Premier League. Do you believe that? Is there much difference between the two, excluding the top team?
I think there is a difference, but I can't put my finger on it because you get some certain Championship players, and I'll name one, David Nugent, and David Nugent is probably one of the best Championship players of all time. He's probably won more promotions than anybody. He's probably up there with Neil Warnock, how many he's won. He scores goal after goal after goal, but he's never, ever done it, or never, ever been given a chance in the Premier League. And I don't get it. I don't understand why. Because, and I just don't understand it. But that's probably a myth. What he's probably stretching his head for. But he probably doesn't care because he's always got a club. He's always got a long contract, and he's happy doing what he's doing, and he's got a level. He's found a level which he's happy and comfortable with. But when he looks back, maybe he might regret that he hasn't played more times in the Premier League or represented his country, for example. Maybe.
Andy, do you think Ernie could have fallen into that category? Because he was like a 25-30 goal a season striker in the Championship, wasn't he?
He went to West Brom,
and then he went to West Brom and didn't quite.
Possibly, yeah, but he had the ability. He had the desire, he had the ability. He probably just didn't get the look or the amount of games that he needed. Ernie needed to be on the pitch. Ernie was no good coming off the bench for me. Yeah. He could have scored within a second, but if he's not on the pitch, he can't. I know this sounds stupid, but if Ernie's not on the pitch, he can't score goals.
No, I know what you mean,
scorer. And you know what I mean? He needs to be on the pitch for 80, 90 minutes to score them goals, because if he's only on 10, 15 minutes, the chances of him scoring are extremely slim. And you know what I mean? He can sniff a goal out, and a player could not mark him or concentrate for a second, and he could get a goal within that millisecond. And he needed to play for Cardiff City. He played most minutes than probably anybody that year.
With the prices of footballers and wages being what they are now, how much would someone like Ernie be worth nowadays? You see some of these guys like.
We look at the lad who was at Preston North End who signed for West Ham. I can't remember his name, but he signed for 10 million quid. So for me, at the time, championship players scoring 25, 30 goals a season, you're looking at, for me, 12, 15, 20 million pounds.
Well, you look at that Grealish, don't you? Jack Grealish, is it? What's the one at Aston Villa?
50 million or something.
They're on about 50 million quid for him. You think he wasn't that great when he played Cardiff?
He's a good player, but I mean, it's a lot of money.
Natural goal scorers need to be on the pitch to score goals, and that's just what it's got to be.
So what do you think about the money in football nowadays? Because obviously being a fan, you're so far removed from, the money. It's like monopoly money, really, isn't it? Someone at the very top is earning, and even mediocre players now. I think that's fans' issue. They're earning. You're talking about in 1 week they're earning decades worth of a normal person's wages, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they are, but I don't think you can. You just can't. You can't begrudge people what they've got, and you've just got to look after number one and be happy with what you're earning. Because
I always say though, if someone now offered me 10 times what I'm doing now as a career, no one would turn that down.
Yeah, and this
do the same.
You can't, can you? Because it's a short life. It's a short lifespan. You don't know how long that's going to last. So you know what I mean. Commitment's all well and good, and being loyal. But sometimes you've got to look after yourself, look after your family, look after future generations.
And you've got to think of it, Andy, because what most footballers, you know, they retire in their 30s, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, pretty much
If
30 odd.
if you're lucky, you'll get to 35. If you're very lucky, you might get another couple more years after it. Some probably don't even see 30.
It's young to retire, isn't it? And I think the average footballer, I think it's only like taking into account all professional footballers in Britain. I think it's like about 25,000 a year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the very top.
Yeah.
But you think about it, and like really, like we touched on earlier, and like you've just reiterated, 30. That's where, you know, really, if you were working a normal job, that would be the middle of your...
Well, most people don't start their careers till they're in their 30s, do they?
Yeah, mid-30s, 40s.
Long careers.
It's such a tough one, you know what I mean? Because I do get people's frustrations about money, but at the same time, you just said there that it's such a short lifespan, you know what I mean? That players retire, you know what I mean? And even the top players, you know what I mean? They'll go into TV and earning money, you know what I mean? They'll carry on earning, you know what I mean? You can't go for earning money to not earning money. You know, you've still got to keep up to a lifestyle. You've still got bills to pay. You know what I mean? Money doesn't grow on trees. It doesn't last forever.
No,
so,
you're quite right.
It's chipping away. It just runs out.
I was reading some stats the other day. Now, this might be completely wrong, but I think they were saying on average it costs about £150 a week to follow a football team.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise
and
me.
if you think about it, you know that's a big way. That's £600 a month, really, isn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly.
7,200.
It's a wage itself, isn't it? And it's got to be. It's you know, I think that's why people get upset and frustrated when I'm trying, or the players are leaving or want to leave, or they want to go and earn more money. It's such a strange. It's a tough call.
And it's a very difficult one with money, because like the thing is, what a lot of people forget is like yourself, Andy, you weren't born in Cardiff. You know, you've got an affiliation, and like you said, you loved your time here. But whereas people, they've got a personal connection with a football team, but whereas yourself, you do enjoy it, and of course you've got amazing, like we were talking before, your daughter was born in Cardiff, so you're always going to have these affiliations, but your affiliations are probably going to be different to a lifelong City fan, aren't they?
Yeah, totally agree, and I think that's the thing. You've got to buy into what the club stands for, and you've probably got to buy into, you know what I mean. It's one of the biggest frustrations a lot of my friends have here in Middlesbrough that a lot of people don't live in Middlesbrough, who play for Middlesbrough. They live in Leeds or they'll travel in, and people don't like that because they start to ask questions about desire and about stuff like that. So it's quite difficult, really.
Yeah. So Andy, your best memories of Cardiff City then? Obviously, you know,
that goal.
You are a legend. That goal that everyone talks about.
The goal was. What can I say? You know, it's such an iconic moment for
it was.
every single Cardiff City fan and player at the time, and to be fair, I think, and I've said this, you know, it's amazing that I scored it, but if I didn't score it and someone else scored it, it still would have meant so much to me, because you know what I mean, the way that season had gone, you know what I mean, we were together for 50 odd games, and we've been through so much, so many ups, so many downs, and to win it the way that we won it. And to where that goal hit the net was just, indescribable. The day, the night, a couple of days after, you know what I mean? It was just a crazy time, crazy time.
Because talk us through it then, Andy.
15 years later.
For people who aren't familiar, talk us through it, because I remember it very clearly being a Cardiff City fan, but other people might not. You come on late in the game, didn't you?
Yeah, I came on 20 minutes to go in normal time. For Ernie, it just wasn't happening for him, and there was a few moans and groans, and
I
a few
remember.
people wondering, "Oh Jesus, what's Lenny doing here?" It's a massive call, it's a huge call. If it had gone wrong, that could have been his job. Because for that call alone, and I came on, and nothing happened in normal time. I couldn't really get into the game, but I always thought extra time when I was sat there and we were getting some. I always thought fresh legs. You know, I thought they were looking a bit tired, and I just remember, you know what I mean. Clark Carlisle made the mistake. He rushed the clearance, went to Gareth Wally. Gareth put a ball over the top, and Danny Shitu wasn't catching me. You know what I mean? I knew he wasn't going to catch me, even if he was fresh. So when he played 114 minutes, I knew for a fact he wasn't going to catch me. And luckily enough, the ball just sat lovely for me to lost the ball over Chris Day, and the rest is history. And it hit the net. The noise, oh God, the noise was just...
Millennium Steve was awesome. What did Ian Shaw say to you? Because he wasn't happy coming off, was he?
No, he wasn't, and I didn't really say anything to me when he came on, but we had a chat after, and You know what I mean? He thanked me for getting the goal and said well done, and I said to him, like I've always said all season, that if it wasn't for all your 35, 40 goals that season, we wouldn't be where we are today. So, you know what I mean? It was a team effort, and luckily enough, I got the goal, and I could have still been sat on the bench, and Ernie could have scored a hat-trick that day, like he did at QPR 5 weeks earlier. But they knew. I think that was probably the worst thing for Ernie, that he had that game, because they marked him so tightly that game.
Yeah,
they
that's
didn't
the
give him a second. But luckily for me, they took their eye off me for a split second, and it got us that goal and got us promoted, because we so needed it. The area needed it. The football club needed it. We needed the city needed it. It was such a we just the players we needed it ourselves.
And that's the difference, really, isn't it, Andy, between like elite level sport and just normal sport. It's these people, the Ronaldos of the world, the Bales of the world. They make the right decisions at the right times, because there's a very fine line between excellence and very good, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's the more games you play, the more experience you get. That you seem to make the right choices at the right time more often. Whereas you play, you'll rush things and you'll make the wrong choice at the wrong time. But I think that's about supporters giving young players a little bit more time and giving them more players that they need, because it's young players could crumble and not come back from that mistake, where old players will know they're going to make a mistake. And Ronaldo will make a mistake, he'll go make another one. Gareth Bale will miss a chance, he'll go miss another one. But then they'll score the next one. And I think you need to do that, and you need to do it more often. You need to make more mistakes to understand that you won't make them as often when you get a little
definitely. And the Bales of the world, the gigs of the world, all these names we can reel off. They do 9 times out of 10. They'll make the right decisions at the right time, won't they?
Yeah, and I think that's key. And I think you've got to, you know what I mean. I think that just comes with experience, because one game, I remember I go back years ago. Andy Cole used to miss a load of chances, bucket load of chances. But that one game when they beat Ipswich 9-0 and he scored 5 goals, and he had 5 shots, scored 5 goals. You know what I mean? That was never heard of for Andy. Andy would probably have scored 2 on another day, but that day he scored 5 goals, and he was an absolute world beater. But you know what I mean? He's a natural goal scorer. Natural goal scorers need to miss chances to score more goals. It's just one of the things.
Hey, Andy Cole doesn't like being called Andy anymore, does he?
Andrew. Sorry,
Andrew Cole. So Warnock, how good is he then?
He's amazing. He's amazing. But then not just as a manager, as a human being. I've met him a couple of times after games and before games, and when I've come to Cardiff, and he's such a genuine, nice person, and respects people who've done things for that football club. You know what I mean? I was sat with my wife, my young daughter, and he came over, sat with us, and thanked me for putting the club where they are now, and he didn't have to do that. And for me, he went up my estimation that day. I was in awe. I had my photo taken with everything. I was like a proper City fan, and got his autograph and got my photo taken with him, and I was proud as punch. My daughter was dead embarrassed of me because I asked for his photo, but you know what I mean? For me, he's a hero, and he's a hero because of what he does. You know what I mean? Before he came to Cardiff, he was an excellent football manager. Now he's at Cardiff, he's an even better football manager for what he's achieved, because he's achieved the impossible, and the impossible last year was achieved, and shows every football club in the Championship that they can achieve something by hard work and some desire, and getting the right recruitment and doing the right thing at the right time next season, so everyone's got a chance. And
I think people resonate with Warnock because he seems to be, you've got the Mourinhos of the world, you've got the Pep Guardiolas, the Klopps. But he seems old school. He seems
not very intense,
tangible. Where these other people, we're never going to meet Mourinho. We're never going to meet those. But you could genuinely see yourself having a pint with Warnock. He's that kind of guy.
100%. You know what I mean? After the promotion, I sat down, had a drink with him, and it's just, with his wife, and it's just he's a normal fella. He's a normal fella. He doesn't want to talk about football. He wants to talk about your family. He wants to talk about how you're doing, what you're up to. You know what I mean? There's time for football and there's time for real life, and he's got the balance absolutely spot on. You know what I mean? And he's got his family life and his football life so separate and so grounded and firmly in place that he's got everything for success, hopefully for the season as well.
So Andy, what's our chances this season then? Are we going to do a Leicester?
I think we will stay up. I think he's recruited really well, and he's recruited in the right areas, and he's gone for the pace, he's gone for the power, he's gone for the right people in the right place. We do need a lot of luck at the right times, and we do need to be very lucky with injuries and make sure that we don't miss out on further recruitment at the right time if that's in January. But if teams like Brighton and Huddersfield can stay up, there's no reason why we can't stay up straight away, because You know what I mean? Because that for me, we're in a better position than they were this time last year. So if we can stay, if they can stay up comfortably, by the way, because we can certainly do it.
Because we're no worse off than Bournemouth, when they went up.
No way, no, 100%. I just use those two as an example because they got promoted the year before, and I just think, you know, I mean, Huddersfield went through the playoffs, they had less time to prepare, and they still stayed up.
Yeah.
So we've had more time to prepare. So we should be looking at easy survival, if not looking maybe hopefully top half or top of the bottom half.
I just think we seem a bit different. We seem a bit more organised now, don't we? We seem a bit.
We do. We seem as though that people are starting to take the club seriously, and we seem like a football club now instead of a club that everyone doesn't take serious. We're now a serious football club, and the boys down the road are not as serious as we are.
No,
we like it.
Long may it continue. May it continue, because I'll be making sure when the boys in red go down to Swansea this year that they go and take 6 points off. I'll make sure of that.
Andy, before you go, any messages to the City fans?
Oh, just for me personally, keep supporting myself when I'm supporting the team on social media and when I come down for games. But for me, get behind the boys this year because I mean, I speak to a couple of players. I speak to Joe Rawls all the time, and him in particular, along with all the other players, they deserve all the support they're getting because they're going to have some tough times this year.
Definitely.
And to get over that wall, they need your complete 100% backing and support. And if you give them, they'll give you back 1,000,000%. Because I know them individually, and I know the manager well, and all the staff well, and I know that they will be doing everything in their power to bring this club and the city success for this year. And I know that they'll bring it, and hopefully sooner rather than later. And if they can have a run in the cup, hopefully we can bring even more success because the city deserves it, and I know you fans deserve it just as much as everyone else.
Brilliant, Andy, absolute legend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Your time, fellas.
Cheers. So everyone, you can get us at ladchatpodcast@yahoo.com, YouTube, Twitter, and SoundCloud. We're everywhere. We're omnipresent. So thanks again for Andy Campbell.
Thank you.
And see you next week.